Hey, how y'all doing? First, let me say welcome to everyone who's here. Welcome if you're new here. If you've been here, welcome back. Y'all already know how we do it. Like, comment, subscribe, okay, and share me with your people. Now, this video is pre-recorded for you guys, okay? So I want to let y'all know it is pre-recorded, but make sure you still go ahead and like and leave y'all comments for me because y'all know I come back and read them. And I will try to respond to all of them. So make sure y'all do that. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week. Make sure y'all tune in. Episodes 3 and 4 is coming today as well. Okay, as well as night court tonight. I hope that you all see that and y'all know what happens when y'all be late. Okay, we already go ahead and them fines will be fining. Okay, so I hope to see you all tonight for night court. Now, baby, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better thank Socrates for this, okay? Because this is the first time ever that I have watched the Ultimate Girls Trips on Peacock. Okay, I never watched it, but got the notification from my boy and he was reviewing the show, and I was like, this sounds interesting. Let me go ahead and watch it and see what they do. And I was thoroughly, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I was thoroughly entertained. So I said, well, you know what? Let me watch it. I watched all 4 episodes and then I enjoyed myself. So I said, well, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it and take some notes and go ahead and give it to my people because I thought it was interesting. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all watched it, y'all definitely drop in and tell me y'all comments. So if y'all here to just support me, child, just comment as well. So we're going to go ahead and get into it, okay? So as y'all can see here, these are the ladies on the show, okay? So we have 2 housewives from Salt Lake City, which are Heather and Whitney, okay? And then we have our Potomac ladies, Candace and Giselle, and we have our Miami ladies, Marisol and Alexia. Okay, no, I'm sorry, this is Heather right here. Not Heather, Whitney. Then we have Marisol and Alexia. Then we have Leah from New York, and of course, Portia from RHOA. Okay, so the season opens up with the ladies, different ones calling each other and talking to each other on the phone, of course, preparing to go. We hear a few ladies talk about Pepsi. Pepsi is the concierge, okay, for the house that they're going to be staying in. They are going to Phuket, Thailand, okay? When I tell y'all, Pepsi is the MVP, the VIP, and the everything else for this series for me. Baby, Pepsi wins it all, okay? Pepsi wins it all for me. Now, of course, as I stated, we have Portia, Candace, Giselle, Heather, Whitney, and Leah, Marisol, and Alexia. So they all arrive or whatever. And the ladies are saying how they knew each other. And Giselle says that she knows Leah from Project Runway. And I say, Lord, somebody put Giselle on Project Runway. Now, I don't watch Project Runway, but apparently it was an episode where the Housewives of New York and the Housewives of Potomac was rounded down there to the Project Runway. So I'm guessing, the contestants were designing outfits for these ladies. I'm not really sure because, as I stated, I don't watch that show. So all of the ladies, y'all know how this go when they go on vacation. All of the ladies started arriving. We see footage of them on the plane. And them taking their trips. They started the libations. And baby, when Marisol says that she don't drink water, all she drink is liquor and coffee, and her coffee had water in it, I said, my God, today, them kidneys, good God. But Marisol is a good time, and I like Marisol, okay? Giselle gets there first, and then she say, Pepsi, my Pepsi. And then Heather gets there, and Heather says that she is 2 days since Jen had pleaded not guilty, girl. And we all know about Jen Shaw, the Shaw of it all. And, Jen had basically pleaded her innocence to Heather for the past however many years, 1 year, 2 years, that she has been fighting these charges, okay? So she pleads her case to Jen, and then the night before, she apparently text message Heather and said that she was going to plead guilty. And since then, Heather had not talked to her in the past 2 days. They had sent text messages, but hadn't really had no conversation. Well, of course, y'all know Messy Jezebel And yes, I said Jezebel. Messy Jezebel. Soon as Heather gets in there, baby, she start running to Heather to ask Heather what was going on. Of course, Heather was fangirling, okay, about being there with all the housewives that she had watched and admired. And she said she just hoped they won't be mad at her for bringing the glam factor down. And I'm like, Heather, girl, if they won't be mad at Giselle for bringing the glam factor down, they sure won't be mad at you, okay? Because she don't give glamorous, and Leah didn't give glamorous either, okay? So Heather, girl, you ain't by yourself. You ain't alone out on that limb, okay? So they started asking Heather about what was going on with Jen. Heather was like, listen, this is what she told me. I don't know. She either lied to me or she lied to the judge. But either way it go, that's my friend and I'm still going to ride with her. And Giselle was like, what? After she lied to you for 2 years, this, then the third? I was like, girl, let it go. So all the other ladies start coming in one by one. We hear Heather in the background asking Leah how she's going to make it through the week. If she need her, she'll be there for her as far as dealing with her sobriety. Because apparently Leah had an alcohol problem and a drug problem. Okay, shout out to Marie Monroe Mama from Bell Collective. So we see her go through that, and then it's time for them to go through the house. So Pepsi takes them through the house, and then he say, there's a spirit house. Then you give them offerings every morning, okay, to the spirits, and it's fruit, and they light incense and say their intentions. So the ladies did all of that and said what their intentions was. Somebody's was to keep their edges, somebody was to have a peaceful time, somebody's was that their families, be safe in their absence and things like that. And I was like, baby, the spirit house, I would have had to go give me another house, because I'm not about to play with y'all and those spirits. I don't know if these spirits gonna stay outside in this little bitty house or they gonna get mad because I don't go give them no offerings. I don't play with the spirits, no God. I don't play with it. But I respect people's culture, but child, no God, I'd have to go stay somewhere else. And I hope everywhere in Thailand wasn't like that, girl, because I would have been on a plane back home. That would have been the end of me and girls' trip. I don't do spirits and I don't do ghosts. And if somebody passed away in your house and you decide to keep their house, don't invite me to their house, because I'm not coming. And I know that people say, the dead can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? You be more scared of the living. But child, listen, it ain't for me. It ain't for me. But I'ma digress. So Alexia and Marisol start speaking to each other in Spanish, and Gizzard gets mad at them and tell them, that's against her rules. Don't speak their language in front of her. And I'm like, girl, you starting off the trip offending people. Like, that's them people language. They don't know you to be saying nothing bad about you or nothing like that, girl. Like, come on now. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't do that to them people. If that's what they speak, it comes natural to them if that's their first language. Meanwhile, you be shooing off around the corner with Porsha. But anyway, I'm going to get there anyway while you talking your mess where nobody can hear you. Then when you get called to the carpet, you sitting up there looking like a stuck deer in the middle of the street when they see a car headlights. Girl, shut up. You was absolutely out of order. But Marisol in her confessional said, I got one rule, Giselle, unless I make up my own rules. Now that's what she said in her confessional while drinking out of her bedazzled martini glass, and I was here for it, but I would have said it in her face. Don't tell me about what to say and when to say it and how to say it, girl. I can't. Oh, y'all know I don't like Gizzard Neck. Okay, I don't like her. I don't like her. But moving on. We're gonna move on. Next, okay. Heather, you see Heather and Porsha and Giselle sitting in a little living room space, okay, after everybody go see their room. Heather, of course, Porsha got the big old room, and I'm like, yeah, they really about to kiss up Porsha, but to try to get her back on, but whatever, we haven't seen her for a while. She got the bigger room. Pepsi had picked all of the rooms. Leah got the smallest room out of the room, and she's like, Pepsi, why do you hate me? Why did I get the smallest room? I would have liked to at least have a view or whatever. And she was like, is this because my show's not on? And Pepsi was like, basically, no, I just went around and picked rooms and gave everybody a room, and this is your room. So she goes back and she tells Candace, I'm going to come in your room every morning and look out the view and drink the coffee. And Candace is like, I don't care. I'm going to be asleep, girl, because I don't get up early in the morning. So after we see this with the rooms, which everybody's room was beautiful, and compared to the other rooms, Leah's room really did suck. You know what I'm saying? It really did suck. Like, all the other rooms was awesome. I don't know why Marisol and Alexia had the share room, the girls from Miami, but they had the share room, and I'd have been like, mm-mm. And then the room only had one bed. But I digress. They didn't trip about it, so I ain't gonna trip about it. So now they all sitting in the living room where it's just Heather, Giselle, and Portia. And Heather says, let's get Leah drunk. Okay. And so when Leah walks in, Gizzard neck, of course, she gonna bring it up. She was like, hey, how are you? How are you gonna do this week? And she was like, because Heather said, let's get you drunk. And Heather's like, way to throw me under the bus. And I'm like, Heather, girl, you said you was a fan child. Did you not watch any of Real Housewives of Potomac? Clearly you didn't. Because if you did, you would have known not to open up your mouth and say nothing you ain't want repeated to neck. Satan. Ankles. You wouldn't have said nothing to her if you would have really been watching and really been a fan, girl. She is not the one, the two, nor the three, nor the four to tell anything to, girl. Hold it to yourself. Go in your room, go in your closet, and talk to yourself before you talk to Giselle. And I hope you learn to stop doing this throughout the rest of the season, okay? And so Leah was like, what? And Heather was like, I read your book. And she was like, you read my book and you still wanting me to drink? That's like wishing death on me. Because apparently she had a real bad, like I said, addiction problem with the drugs and the alcohol. Okay. I'm sorry. And so that we see that. And then Whitney comes in and Heather thinks that Whitney chose the show over her because they all go and they sit down to eat. They have lunch. They had the good chicken wings and the good Phuket food. Okay, that food was looking some good and I wanted some because y'all know I like to eat. So of course Gizzard gets it started and she's once again, well, I know you guys had issues throughout the show or whatever. So how are you? When we were talking and Heather once again is like, I didn't know Giselle was recording our conversation. And I'm like, girl, you should have never trusted her to say anything. So, but whatever, we didn't see Heather say really anything bad. So them two get into it and Heather was like, Whitney was basically like, I was saying the rumor that was heard, and in that moment, I needed Whitney to have my back. I mean, I needed Heather to have my back, and Heather didn't have my back in the moment about a rumor that was told. And Heather was like, well, I didn't hear that. You were looking for a moment. And she basically said that Whitney was trying to make sure she made a splash every chance she gets since her husband had lost his job. And so now she was the sole breadwinner. So she needed to make sure basically that she was going to have her contract to come back. Now, y'all know Whitney's husband had lost his job and y'all know Whitney had spent their life savings in that line, a Wild Irish Rose or Whitney Rose or something, whatever the hell it is. That wasn't doing good before, and then she went and took their whole savings without telling her husband or whatever to go ahead and try to revitalize her business. So, girl, you better hope it worked because now he ain't got no job and it's on you and you done spent the savings that y'all had. So go ahead and do what you got to do, girl. And so you can make that store, but don't do all of that. Long story short, Heather says that Whitney chose the show over her, and Whitney is blaming Heather. You know what I'm saying? Saying she was reckless and she didn't take her side. Okay. Then they all, after they do all of that, they decide to table it and they go out to dinner. Okay. Well, Leah busts out Heather at the table because Giselle offered to play a game and it was like your first impressions, pick your worst impression of a housewife and pick your good impression. So basically, who was the first person that you were impressed with and who got on your bad side? Okay, messy ass game, but go ahead. Leah calls out Heather for saying that she was going to support her. And of course, Heather didn't remember saying it, just like Whitney said in the van ride on the way there, that she wouldn't even remember saying it. Heather was like, listen, I didn't mean it like that or whatever. They hug and they get over it. Okay. Jezebel, when it comes down, Marisol was saying how Giselle was her worst impression because of what she said to them about their language. She didn't really appreciate it. To which Jezebel blames her ignorant ass statement on her kids, saying that the twins speak Spanish around her because they know that she don't know it, and they be talking about her, or they do it to exclude her. And I'm like, girl, because they don't like you. It don't seem like them. I ain't gonna talk about your children, but it just don't seem like, they really feeling you like that. They know you be on some fugazi stuff. They probably know anything they tell you, the way you run your mouth, you gonna run your mouth to somebody else, and they probably talking about stuff they don't want you to know. Or they are just having moments. And when you have children, and they children, plural, they have things that they're gonna talk about. They have their little code, they make their little faces. Hell, even my kids do that. I'm not offended. I don't think they talking about me. And if they are talking about me, guess what? They know their place. They know they better not ever let me hear, number one. And number two, they ever better not be bold enough to cross me like that. Because I don't care what happens in this world. I am still your mama. And I am not disrespectful towards you. I chose to show my children respect because I want to be respected. So that's how that goes. So she blames that on that. Okay, Whitney comes and says that she's wildly surprised by her liking Candace, and she didn't think she was gonna like Candace based on interactions that she had with Ashley. And I'm like, girl, I don't understand why everybody give Candace all this smoke as if Ashley is innocent, talking about when she called her wide body. To which Candace responded like, no, that wasn't it. Even after going through what I went through with IVF, I'm still, I feel a certain way. I understand it, and I felt like in that moment, she was like reverse mom shaming me because I don't have kids. Well, I don't have any natural kids that I birthed, but I'm a bonus mom. And so she felt like Ashley was weaponizing her motherhood. I personally feel like Ashley was coming get it started, and then everybody wanted to take Ashley's side like she's a brand new mother. Okay, but that brand new mother still came and got it started. But we ain't talking about Patanka. So then Porsha decides she wants to interject, okay, in a conversation that literally had nothing to do with her. But y'all know how these Housewives episodes go, whether it's the girls trip on Peacock or whether it's on Bravo. Somebody go ahead and get it started somewhere, because we got to have a scene with some mess, okay? So Porsha butts in with Whitney and Candace, okay? And she was saying, well, when Candace made those statements, but since Candace have grown, and Candace was like, what do you mean since I've grown? And Porsha was like, if you let me finish, you'll see. So Porsha was trying to say, since she's gone through her IVF process, she's grown up, and now she realizes that those ignorant statements that she made was wrong. And Candace was like, no, I said what I said. I said it to be mean because she was being mean. And Porsha was like, oh, okay, well then you just a mean girl. And then the episode goes off. I'm like, child, please. Okay. So then we pick up where we left off on episode 2. They still at the dinner, they replay that scene, but then you see a bug fly somewhere, and baby, it's all over the place. All the women jumping and screaming, and baby, now they left. It goes back to the house, and I really want to know why this van can't never go up the hill to bring them to the house, because they don't never have on no shoes when they get back to the house. And they always are very intoxicated, and then they all look like 83-year-old women trying to walk up the hill and go ahead and get where they got to go. Like, why can't the van go up this cobblestone road and get to the house? I be done had to see, can y'all give me a little toot hut bicycle, something to help me get up this hill? But they struggle to get up the hill, and they get in the house. The next morning, everybody wakes up. Pepsi tells Leah she's in charge for the day, and they are going to an elephant sanctuary. Okay. Leah goes to the spirit house to do her morning offering and asks them to help her from PMS. And I say, girl, not you asking the spirits to help you with your PMS. Of all the things to help your spirit with, not to help you stay sober around these people, because baby, they is drinking from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. Not to help you keep a peace of mind, not to keep you from snatching a bitch, but to help you with them PMS. Well, they say ask and you shall receive, girl. So I'm hoping that the spirits go ahead and help you with your PMSing. But I digress. Okay. So now they riding to the whatchamacallit, the Elephant Sanctuary, and it's Porsha, Giselle, Whitney, and Heather in the car. And so Porsha was saying she's Nigerian because she did her ancestry test or whatever. And so it came back that she had Nigerian in her. And she said that's where she get her butt and her hips from. And she wish she would have had small breast disease so that she can look more like her people. And I'm like, girl, Porsha, whatever. And Whitney and Heather revealed that's how they found out that they was cousins because they deep off into the ancestry too. So that's how they found out that they were actual cousins versus just friends who ended up on the show, which we later find out that Heather is the one who got Whitney on the show. So at the Elephant Sanctuary, it is all nice or whatever. And so they feeding the elephants the sugar cane, and Giselle making some weird I don't know what that noise was she was making, but I wanted an elephant to just blow snot all over her. Cause why are you making that noise, girl? Just feed you about to scare the animals. You about to scare the elephants. She making that weird noise. Candace, and no wonder she can't keep a man if this the noises she making in the bedroom and her confessional. And girl, I cried. I said, not the noises. I hope she don't sound like that in the bedroom. But baby, if this a sound of pleasure to the man, baby, he probably don't care if she was growling like a tiger. He feel like he hitting that spot and get you making them weird noises she was making. But for the elephants, girl, I wanted them to just stump her. That would have made me laugh if an elephant would have just been chasing her. I know I'm wrong. I probably shouldn't feel that way, but I do. So anyway, next thing you know, they get in the water with the elephants and they rubbing the mud all over the elephants. And I was like, no, thank you. First of all, I don't like no chocolate milk water. For those of y'all who don't know what chocolate milk water is, that's brown water. I like the blue water. I like to see what I'm getting into when I'm getting into it. But needless to say, they taking mud baths with the elephants, were rubbing the mud all over the elephants. And then Portia picks up what she thought was mud, which we later found out was horse poop, and throw it at Giselle, baby. It's all on her butt, on her legs. Girl, I would have choked Portia. I would have had to, girl, I would have had to put hands on her. Like, it wouldn't have been no game if you pitched elephant poop on me. Don't even pitch no mud on me. But girl, she pitched it. Next thing you know, they all pitching mud, and then they find out, that wasn't mud. It was shit. Baby, we listen. It would have been over with. It would have been over with for me. My God, today. That would have just aggravated my soul. And then Portia talking about, who did that? Who did that? Who did that? Why y'all do that to Giselle? Girl, you did that to Giselle. But I digress. Marisol was like, you ain't about to have her mad at me. I heard them sounds she made at the elephant. Now, she didn't say that, y'all. I'm adding my own little extra spin to it. But Marisol did say, Portia threw that on you. And Giselle like, Portia, what? So they go wash off under the little showers at the sanctuary. They running and stuff. The people telling them, stop running, stop running. I'm like, y'all about to cause a stampede down to the sanctuary. They get all of the mud and stuff off of them. And then it's time to go eat. I'm like, no, baby. They done been throwing poop around. Y'all done been rubbing on the elephants and feeding the elephants, and y'all just had a little water to rinse the poop and the mud off of y'all. Ain't a bit of Dove, Dial, Zest, Caress, Jergens. None of that. And y'all about to go eat? I ain't even seen no hand sanitizer. I'm full. I need to go take me a shower. I'm going to eat at the house. They would have to have some place for me to shower. Y'all can call it bougie, sedity, whatever you want. But I ain't about to be rubbing on no elephant, then about to go put no food in my mouth, and I ain't properly washed with no soap. But I guess that's how you do when you in another country, child. I don't know. But they sitting down there, they eating it. So they Giselle's asked the question of Portia about, being a housewife and being famous. And Portia said instantly brought fame to her, and how she decided, her first season she was married, second season she was divorced. Then she needed to start getting some businesses because she had more followers than she had money in the bank. And how she started her brand, and her brand needed to stand on its own outside of the housewives show. So they all was going around asking different questions. Candace was saying, how the hardest part for her is the fans on Twitter that be coming after her or whatever. And she said, Giselle, of course, busts and say, Candace, you a troll. Like, you need to take responsibility for it. And Candace was like, I am responding to people saying stuff about me. Marisol opens up and she says about how she was getting dressed for an event and her mom came and the cameras was rolling and she didn't want her mom to be on the camera. Her mom was really, 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 really beautiful. And they showed pictures of her mom, and her mom was absolutely stunning. And so she wanted to get the facelift, but she couldn't get facelifts because she couldn't go under the anesthesia. So she started getting different Botox and things like that, and really messed up her face. And so she said she didn't want her mom to be made fun of. So she was really worried about that. And the producer said, no, the people are going to love your mom. They're going to love your mom. Now, I haven't watched Miami, but I heard it was good. So I'm going to go ahead and watch it so I could be caught up for next season and bring it back to y'all. Okay, so she was saying how that, really affected her, but ultimately she was glad she got to have that moment, that her mom got to have that moment. And she never really said any bad comments that people were making. So I'm guessing the producers was right. And the people really did love her mom. Next, we got into Leah, and Leah was saying how when they started taping for New York, she had to go to, I believe it was Ramona's house or whatever, and she had to be there for a week, and her grandmother was really, really sick in the process of passing. And not one producer, not one cast member said, girl, go be with your family. And I'm thinking to myself, like, girl, they wouldn't have had to tell me go be with my family. Like, you ain't never been to work. You ain't never went to work and had somebody call and say it's a family emergency. Girl, that's the time when you're supposed to do it. Your grandma passing, girl, listen, I would have had to miss out on a few of them checks because I wasn't leaving my family. Or I would have showed up and I'd have been like, all right, I'm walking in here in 20 minutes, call me. And I'ma act like this stuff, like things done went from bad to worse, sir. And I know worse are not a word, y'all. I'm just saying that's just how it would have been, baby. I would have been performing. You hear me? I would have been on the floor. I would have been on the floor. Go and see my grandmother. No, go, honey. Ain't no check worth that. I would have been there with my grandmother. So that was her story, and it was really, it was really, really heartbreaking. So they had a good time. They get back in the car, and Candace was saying how that day was a good day. It was the first day that she really enjoyed herself being there because her and Chris are not in a good space. Okay, her and Chris is not. Well, wait, let me back up, y'all, because I I forgot this part. It tickled me when they go to eat. They have wine bottles for them to drink out of, and the ladies are like, "Well, we need a corkscrew." Portia was like, "We don't need no corkscrew. I'ma suck the cork out," and they was like, "Oh, we see how you got that ring." And so Portia said, "Don't put this on camera because it goes against my because it goes against my brand." And Leah says, "No, it's right along with your brand." And y'all, I died. I said, well, she did say she was the princess of Thailandia. That was so fun. I was tickled. I was thoroughly tickled. I swear to y'all, I was tickled. I rewind that part like 3 times because it was so funny to me. But anyway, I digress. On a ride back to the house, um, that's when we find out Chris and Candace are not in a good space. They had the worst argument of their marriage. Like really big argument, like divorce talk argument of their marriage. She said they haven't been able to spend a lot of time together with her schedule and his schedule. It's months since they actually really got to spend time together. So she too have been having anxiety like Leah about being there and being in her room and crying and stuff like that. So Whitney and Heather talk when we get back to the house about their friendship, and Whitney confirmed that she was doing things for the show. Basically, to me, that's what I got out of what she was saying, or whatever. And Heather said, "Don't sacrifice our friendship for the show." Whitney keeps saying that Heather wants to look good for the show, but it's definitely giving Whitney has let this show go to her head. To me, in my opinion, I don't like Whitney. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't like Whitney. They pinky promise sincerely with a kiss. And I mean, like, they kiss their thumbs. and did it like that, not kissed each other. Okay. Then Pinky promised it, sealed it with a kiss to work on their friendship 50-50, so it don't be no problem. Candace said that night, Candace is in charge of the dinner. They're going out in Thailand to a drag show, which in Thailand they call them the Lady Boys. Okay. So she has the night show. She tells them all dress over the top, big hair, whatever they have. If they think it's too much, wear it. And wear your grills if you have one. The only people who had grills was Candace and Giselle. And y'all, seeing Giselle in a grill was hilarious, but I actually liked it. Like if she would have had a nice slick back ponytail or something, she had that bushy, I don't know what the hell was wrong with that head. I should have took a picture and put it up there for y'all. But that's what she had in her head, child. And I was like, I don't like the hair, but the grill in Giselle was hilariously funny for me to see. Okay. So they get there, and Candace decides that she's going to all give them drag names, right? So hers was Petty LaBelle, and I'm like, girl, you could have came up with more than that. Now, come on, now, Candace. Come on, girl. Giselle's was, since they always say she needs a man, she can't get a man. So her name was She Needs a Man. And Giselle in her confessional says, baby, stay out her bedroom because she dabble here, there, and everywhere. And I'm like, girl, that's kind of like saying you just be throwing it all over the place and you a 3 or 4. But go ahead, Giselle, girl, I ain't mad with you. Get your beefcake and get your buffet wet. I ain't mad at you. I don't believe you, but I ain't mad at you. Okay. She goes through and gives everybody else their name. Leah, since she converted to Judaism, her name was Judaism. Since Heather and Whitney were cousins, they were Snow White and Snow Wrong. The other Marisol, since her mom could see through can see things, her name was Crystal Ball. And I forget what Alexia name was, but basically their names wasn't shady. Okay. And then she get the portion. She said the streets was talking. Okay. And they say that you took that lady husband. So your name is She Take a Man. So your sister is She Need a Man, and you She Take a Man. So which Porsha felt offended. And I'm like, Porsha, girl, mind you, everybody's name wasn't shady. You could have named Marisol She Need a Drink if you wanted to be petty, because she drinks a lot. You didn't give everybody else petty names. You only really gave Giselle and Porsha a petty name. So I could see them feeling some type of way about them only having petty names. But however, Porsha, girl, do not sit up here and act like you are that far removed from Housewives that you don't understand that how to get it started. See, you thought you had avoided this situation by not coming back to RHOA, but you had to know when you returned, by returning so soon, that somebody was going to ask you about this man, or somebody was going to say something about the way you got with Simon. So they go and they sit at the table or whatever. And Porsha was like, well, I want to ask, not Porsha. Candace was like, well, Porsha, go ahead and tell the story. Porsha was like, no, you tell the story. You know what I'm saying? Tell what you heard. So Candace was saying, basically, that was your co-worker, and you was introducing the new housewife on the show, and they showed the clips of all of that. And she said, basically, you got with him and y'all was engaged just like that, but he was still married to her, and allegedly, she cheated on him. And so Porsha was like, I'm not going to speak on her. And you did the right thing, Porsha. You did not need to speak on her. But girl, this story that you told, that's like my third, fourth, fifth different story about hearing the way that you and Simon gets together, which means you lied. You told one story to the media, you told another story on your show, and now you're telling this story. And the only thing that remains consistent is that you was in that man DMs. And that was it. But Porsha said, Candace is so pressed by her. And I'm like, girl, ain't nobody pressed by you, but you can't act like what you did wasn't nobody was gonna ask no questions. You did what you did. You had the reunion. You didn't come back because you already knew you was with that man. You didn't come back to the next season because you knew them girls was gonna put pressure on you. In reality game, that was your biggest story. Much like Leah in her drug history, much like Wendy and not Wendy, hell, Whitney and Heather about their Mormon story. You had to know somebody was gonna ask you about it, and so it's asked about it. So she said when she realized, she didn't realize at the time where she knew Simon from, but he looked familiar. And after it came out that they was getting in the divorce, she DM'd Simon and asked him was he okay, and said she was praying for him. Simon hit her up and said that he wanted to see her. He was in Atlanta and he wanted to see her. And I'm like, wait, I thought they lived in Atlanta. But I guess the way y'all travel, maybe he was back in Atlanta or whatever from off of travels. Girl, I don't know, because this story is so confusing. And at this point, I'm the hell over it. And it still was broken girl code to me. But I digress. Back to the story that she told. So she said, before I see you, I need to know you getting a divorce. So she said Simon sent her the papers. The divorce papers were signed. It was just sitting on the judge's desk waiting to be finalized. So he was a free man to do what he wanted while the time was open. And that's how they got together, and they got engaged in under a month. And I'm like, girl, okay. All right then, Porsha. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's sitting there. Alexia started telling her story about her ex-husband, who, when he passed, they were still married, but they were separated. And ultimately he had a lover. Okay, so she's guessing that he was, bisexual or whatever, since they had been in a relationship, and she was going through different things and different emotions with that happening. Leah was saying, who's this? Basically, Leah was bored because she had heard the story before, but a lot of people hadn't heard the story before. So they tell her, no, this Giselle was like, well, I never heard the story before. And everybody at the store was saying, like, this is so interesting. Heather was saying, this is interesting. And she was like, it's not interesting. I'm bored or whatever. And so Marisol was like, you're selling her story. Her story is boring. And she was like, Marisol, don't try to get her to pick a fight with me because your stomach is messed up and you drinking vodka early in the morning. And I'm like, girl, we don't judge, okay? Because no matter what time you start drinking, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Now you can't drink no more, that's fine. But don't be watching my drinks and how much I'm drinking. Girl, Leah, go sit down somewhere. And I ain't gonna lie, Leah had really worked on my nerves. That wasn't the time of the place. She was sharing with the other ladies something that you had heard, and you might have been bored, girl, but be quiet. So her and Candace gets up from the table. Candace gets ready because she's going to perform her song with the lady boys. They sitting at the table saying they were underwhelmed by Candace night. And I ain't gonna lie, that dinner and them names was a little boring to me. Okay, like Candace, you could have came up with shady names for everybody. But I digress. They move on to go see the show. In the show, they come out and they do a dance routine. One of the lady boys fell. I was like, nah, baby, you supposed to be professional. But she bounced right back up, child, and got right back to dancing. Then Kansas come out and dance with them, looking like a big loofah sponge. That's what she looked like. She said she was giving Thailand marshmallow realness. And I'm like, girl, you giving nice bubble bath soak realness. But whatever. It was a good little performance. The music had went out and she was lip singing. Okay, she was definitely lip singing. But she just kept on with the dances and picked up her song right where she left off. Okay, to me, she did a great performance. To say she had not practiced with none of the people out there. She hadn't had a chance to practice with them. So she did good. Candace and Porsha and Giselle all up in the confessionals. Now Giselle did say she did a good performance. She said she did a good performance or whatever, even though we know she said something different on Watch What Happens Live, but that's because they have now taped the reunion. See, when this happened, they hadn't taped the reunion yet. So that's why Candace also was able to be, I guess, somewhat cordial and cool with Giselle, because she had not seen the sneaky link comments and all of that other stuff that Giselle had been saying in between the time they wrapped taping up until the reunion. Okay, so this was taped before she knew all of the extra stuff, all of the extra sauce and spin that Gizzard Neck had put on everything. So she said it was good. or whatever. So she gave a good performance, even though it was only the 17 people. I'm like, girl, it was only for y'all. It wasn't like don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that messy ass shit. Like she was at a concert that she was selling concert tickets and only 17 people showed up. It was only for y'all and the ladyboys and the production crew. Like, stop it. And Porsha was like, well, she gave a Thailand performance or whatever, not a basically exciting performance. So they was trying to shade her. But at the end of the day, girl, you sell hair, which everybody's around here slinging hair, and you sell them Delilah sheets, and you had that book that child Wes said on the New York sellers. They let the people tell it. Your production company bought up a lot of books for you to be a bestseller. I'm just saying, I really hate when they shade each other's businesses, because all y'all businesses can have shade thrown on them. You throwing shade, Giselle, by talking about it's only 17 people. But girl, what we saw from y'all reasonably shady show on the show was trash. And once again, where's RHUGH? Nowhere. But I digress. Or whatever. So they ride in the car and they're saying, Porsha is saying how she felt like Candace was coming for her, but it really wasn't good shade. And I'm like, because she take a man really ain't good shade, but whatever. Porsha is used to that Atlanta shade. You know, the girls on Atlanta is vicious. And after coming from battling with Kenya the Moore all of them seasons, child, she take a man ain't no type of shade. And so Gizzard admits that Candace is never the starter. Candace is always the responder, meaning Candace don't start off with the shade, but Candace will shade you down in her response. Candace will chew you up and spit you out in her response. And I'm like, well, if you already know that, Gizzard, then why you act the way you act towards Candace? Why do you sit on that damn stage and do the things that you do and act like Candace is so terrible when she is responding? If you come from me shady and you throw a palm tree on me, girl, you can't control my response. If I come back and drop a whole forest on you, that's on you. If you strike one match and I light up the whole box, that's on you. And for all the seasons that Candace has been on this show, y'all know her mouth vicious. So either step up your game when you coming for her, or don't step to her at all. But I'm glad you admitted that she is always the responder, which she has been saying for seasons, that she is the responder. So far as I'm concerned, all y'all can go to hell. All y'all can go to hell. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, Porsha thinks that Candace is a fan and she shaped her whole night around her. And I'm like, please, can we get the unedited footage? I need the unedited footage to see what else was shaped around Porsha. Like, I know they bucking your head up. You got more confessionals than everybody else on the trip. They gave you the best room at the house. But baby, everybody don't care about you like that. You are not on everybody's wish list like that. So I really need to see the unaired footage. I really need to see it, because outside of saying she take a man and asking you what was the story, nothing else was about you, my dear. Nothing else was about you. So I need to see the unedited footage to make that statement make sense, because it really doesn't. And that's how that episode goes off. So then we're going to pick up. Oh, y'all, wait. I done started into episode 3. My bad. I'll give y'all a recap, because the Lady Boy show started off episode 3. My bad, y'all. But with that being said, that's it. That's all I got. I ain't got no more. Drop down in the comments and tell me y'all opinions. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.